All right, week 2, stop sucking at swimming. There's snow on the ground. It is swim season. Not much you can do outside, so we're in the water every morning, 5, 6 a.m., getting it done. Trying not to look so bad and eventually maybe turn ourselves into a swimmer sooner or later. That's the goal anyway, so here we go. I mean, last week we talked about everything that was bad. Well, not everything, about half the things that were bad and everything that we have to fix. So this is some footage from this week. Again, not the best footage, but we get the idea what we're trying to look at. Last week, the big focus for me was, so last week the hips were way down. Last week's on the right here. And we had this body position that just looked like that. So we're just taking on all this water right here into the legs and not getting a lot done. So that was the big focus here on the left, which is this week. Just trying to get more on top of the water. And you can see, I mean, at least some of that has been fixed where it's more of a horizontal position. Now, are we on top of the water? No, but just not taking on as much drag, right? At least most of the time. And a lot of that was just engaging the core like we talk about. Now, a lot of coaches, they preach engage the core, engage the core, engage the core on top of it. But a lot of the time, they don't say exactly what that is because they don't know what it's like to be an athlete that struggles in the water, right? So for me, I need those cues, what exactly is gauging the core? For me, what did that look like? Tucking in the stomach. So really taking in that stomach and almost arching your back backwards so you're more on top of the water. And you can actually feel the water line on top of it when you are there, right? And then another thing was just horizontally just stretching your legs to the back of the pool, just really stretching out and then keeping that kick nice and tight. So rather than, kicking from the knee like this and just splaying your legs constantly, you're kicking more tight. Now with me, I can't kick, so it looks really stiff, but trying to get it more from the hip. So you're not just, bending your knees downwards, right? Like that. So that really helped me a lot. Another thing was just squeezing the glutes. So rather than just having your legs drag behind you, you're squeezing inwards, right? So just squeezing that and then actually lifting them up to try to get them up. And the other cue was kind of dropping the head a little more. So rather than looking more ahead like I was, get this one. So I was looking more, this way. It's kind of more downwards, right? Just getting that head position, which raised the back end up quite a bit, right? Now, did it stay like that? No. When I was focusing on some other things, which we'll talk about, those legs went back to just dragging you behind like that. So another part of this is just mindset, right? So, I mean, when you're thinking, you can't think about 5 things at once when you're trying to learn. It's more about just one thing at a time and then trying to get that so it becomes a habit over and over and over. And then obviously getting better at it too, right? You can't just work on it once or twice and do some drills and hopefully it's going to get better. You got to go repetition over and over and over and getting the miles. Second thing that I worked on a lot was this catch, right? So this is this week on the left here. And there's last week. So the catch, obviously, I had this straight arm, kind of straight down a lot of the time. A lot of the time, the hand kind of ventures outside of the body, and I'm not getting any power there. So I really wanted to try for that high elbow, and it does feel a lot more powerful when you're doing that, right? So that was another thing I worked on. Now, when I did that, the legs kind of collapsed in behind me again. You can see bending the knee right there again. Which is not what you want. But when you suck at swimming, these are the things you got to deal with, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's week 2. I mean, lot of good progress, but it's only a couple weeks, so there's not going to be anything big. Some of the other things, I had a good comment to mine, just, the feet, right? I got these feet that are anchors for me, so that's just taking on drag. I feel like I'm pointing my toes, but I'm not. So another thing I really got to focus when you're trying to keep your legs up is trying to point those toes, right? really trying to get those back. And a lot of it's just flexibility. I can't point the toes, running 80K a week for the last 10 years. You're not going to have really floppy ankles for that kind of thing. So doing a few little exercises and then just consciously thinking about pointing those toes to the back just to get more streamlined, because at the end of the day, it's about how much drag you're taking on with the water. And right now, I'm all drag. Another thing is, with the catch, we were talking about the high elbow. You can see I'm like here, I'm just pushing water down, right? Pushing. And then I'm really not pulling myself backwards till right there, right? So a goal kind of in terms of the catch would be, you enter the water, enters, and then you try for that early vertical forearm to get that catch set up right there, rather than having it drift before you get it, right? Because, when I swim, you can see it's like I'm accelerating, then I'm decelerating over and over. Get a burst, and then you're just gliding and going nowhere, right? So that's, when I swim with a band, my feet drag because there's just so many dead spots in my stroke right now, right? So that's another big focus. But, like we said, hopefully get better. We got 17 weeks to go. Try to break 30 minutes at Oceanside. And these are some of the things I'm going to be working on in the future. Obviously, when you suck this bad at swimming, there's going to be a whole bag that you need to bring out. But that's why we're doing it. That's why we're showing up every day. So look forward to hopefully being more progress as we go.